On Uncut Live, we cover multiple issues. Faith, politics, social issues, and community. As I always say, we keep it 100 or 1000. We will not be paused, edited, or muted. On today's topic, we're going to discuss something that I believe is highly important, uh, especially during this COVID 19 uh, pandemic and before COVID 19 uh, occurred. Because I think sometimes that we kind of forget that, it's like it's almost like two different worlds.
Yeah.
In one, because
Mm-hmm.
we just think a lot of stuff just happened.
Mm-hmm.
COVID came
Mm-hmm.
through, but not realizing that there was a lot of action and stuff
Going on prior to that.
Mm-hmm. So today's topic, we're going to talk about mental health.
Okay.
I think it's important. I don't know if you had a chance to read about or see what occurred over the weekend.
I actually, well, there's a lot of things that occurred and happened over the weekend, but you actually brought to my attention something that I wasn't aware of, which is you referring to the gentleman scaling the Bay Bridge. And for whatever reasons may be, but we could pretty much, most people say, that nigga crazy. But excuse my language, but that's just what you thought. So that's why it's important, because we'll overlook what somebody's going through because we only see what the surface presents, which is this guy's walking across the top of the Bay Bridge. There's got to be something wrong with him. And we tend to always conclude that, but we never come up with solutions. So it's actually a great topic to discuss.
Yes, and I believe, in my view, that mental health is wealth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, because you can have $1 million, you can have all the money, you can have access to materialism, accessories, and things like that. But if you don't have your mental capacity,
Right. So this is, I always tell people there's three types of food. Um, there's physical food that we all carry out, grocery store, cook at home, and that helps our body physically move from point A to point B with energy or sluggishness, depending on what you're putting in your body. Then you have mental food, which you read, which you listen to. It's like your five senses, because everything dealing with your five senses gets reserved and preserved mentally.
mm-hmm.
So we always tend to focus on what we put in our body physically, and we write off what we allow in our mind as either entertainment or music or just something, and we don't realize the impact of what mental food we eat truly has over us. And so it is very important. However, I would say you have to factor, in my opinion, you have to factor in all three types of food that we consume, because our problem is we don't do a holistic approach.
Mm-hmm.
It's mental health issues. We don't try to relate the mental health issues to what people are actually consuming physically. Okay? And so by us doing that, we are attacking, in my opinion, mental health in an unhealthy manner, because everything is connected. If I can't be mentally healthy, I can't elevate to spiritual health, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not physically healthy, it's going to tarnish my brain, it's going to tarnish my insides, and it's going to tear at me. So it's all connected. So I always go back to, like, there go that resident vegan again. It always goes back to, what are we consuming physically first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mental is going off what somebody tells you. Oh, milk does a body good. Mentally, you believe that, right? So in its rarest form, or you know what they tell the kids when they're in the second or third grade, you're emotionally disabled. You listen to that. That resonates with you in your mind. You consumed it. And as you have nobody, let's say, the great thing about the physical body, the way it's constructed, and this is why mental health is so damning and damaging, and it has to be approached, because our physical body, naturally, even if we don't get enough fiber in our diet, we're going to take a shit. We're gonna clean out some bad things in our body. That's just how the system works. I drink water, whatever I put in yesterday, it's going to push it out. But what do we have pushing out the negativity in our mind? That starts when we're here. You no good for nothing. You just like your dad. You just like your mom. We have no fiber. We have no mental fiber that's eradicating the waste. So the waste goes with us for life and on and on. And what happens when you have a lot of waste in your stomach? It's a lot of disease. It's a lot of uncomfortability. It's a lot of contentiousness. It's a lot of like this all over the place. And that's the problem. We have no mental release. And so most of us are mentally unhealthy. Or even forget the ones that diagnose. You know, I'm mentally unhealthy. You know, however, I seek ways to include the mental fiber so I can move towards a spiritual healthiness, because that's the ultimate. But so I don't cast aspersions on any individual because they got the label and I don't, or because I might be a little bit further along. The fact is, we all, because hurt people, and we come from an ancestral historical background of traumatization. So, you know, that's just my thought. So we do have to have an approach, and we have to be more solution based and holistic. That's why I like, just to do a plug, I like the brochure that talks about the approach it from a holistic, and that's what you need. And I do believe it's something to be said, and I'll throw the ball back to you. Let's think of the mental effect you have on a child when you put an animal in front of them that they grew up learning what to say that word is. Oh, that's chicken, or that's a dog, and the chicken goes pop pop, and the cow goes moo moo. And then in a couple of years, you put that same dead animal on the plate and you tell them to eat it. That gives, dominion over all. I can conquer, I can savage, right? So you're creating a mental quagmire at an early age. And there's no fiber coming out of it. And so the gentleman that walked across the bridge, that's years and years of mental consumption of things that were not conducive to his growth.
Yeah. You know, a couple of things you hit on that I think is important too is you talked about the mental fiber, the environments, from children. I mentor a lot, and I often, when I'm talking to young men, it's always, like, because when you have that when that mental fiber is not connected accordingly, what ends up happening is that all that child has received, it, like I said, it gets in. Okay. And so when it's time to, once it you gotta go to the bathroom, you can't get it out. So what happens internally, it creates, like you said, disease.
Okay.
I did a video, I want to say about 2 months ago. Shout out to Kingdom Life Outreach Center, Dr. Ann Coles. Okay. She does a lot with the guns down. Just trying to get to what are the causes, why is it, we always, when we see gun violence and stuff, we just see, people are killing, but there's something.
It goes back. I mean, it goes back to let's use the same analogy that I used talking about the chickens and the meat. What is one of the first toys a little boy is given?
I would say a duck. I think it's a
A
duck.
first toy
A
a
first
little
toy.
boy is given when he's old enough to hold the toy in his hand is a water gun
Mm.
or cops and robbers, some type of gun.
Okay.
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 So I'm instilling in your mental psyche right now that it's okay, and you're learning how to hold a gun. Little girls get a doll baby with a stroller. You're introducing adult situations to a child at an early age.
Mm.
And then they continue to embrace, and then again, you get to 18 and say, you can't have a gun. Or you shouldn't have no kids until you're married. But I wasn't married at 2 years old when you gave me a baby and you created the image and the perception that I am a nurturer.
Mm.
So we introduce these things and we do it subliminally off of the fact that it's entertainment and it's fun. But there's a reason why.
Mm.
If if the Second Amendment says you have the right to bear arms to form a militia, and most people don't realize the reason why the Second Amendment came is because when they were fighting the Great Britain forces, they needed people to fight. They were outnumbered. So they said, okay, look, you can pull up a gun as long as you're fighting with the colonizers' army. Right now, we have the biggest military in the world, so technically you don't need the Second Amendment anymore. You don't need militias. You don't need guns, but we go back to what we're teaching, the Second Amendment. By the time you're Second Amendment, you get a water gun in your hand.
Mm.
And then you hold it. Now you got the video game. So even before you're old enough to walk into a Walmart and buy an assault rifle, you've handled guns. And how can you tell somebody? And then on top of that, I teach as well. And I see kids take toys. Same thing we did. You know? And I had to say, stop, don't point your finger at nobody like that. They'll take a water bottle. Pow, pow, pow. So it's in them. And now we've been desensitized to it. Now the video games, the movies, the songs, all that, I'll wet you up, blah, blah, blah. So the lack of mental fiber, which fiber in of itself is meant to release stuff out of your body. So now physical fiber, grains, bread, beans, stuff like that. But what type of fiber you put in your mind? Meditation is good, right? This separating yourself, turning off TV, not listening to what everybody is saying. And it's I'm gonna pass it back to you. I had a brother, ran into a brother about 3 years ago. I was at Laurel, and he was standing out front of the Chick-fil-A, and he was selling his CDs. And he was like, man, I'm just trying to get some money because my mother's sick, blah, blah, blah. And I said, man, how much you want for your CDs? And, I listened to it. I think I gave him like $10 or $20. And he was like, man, yeah, I'm trying because, man, I'm crazy and I'm mentally disabled. And I said, who told you that? Mm-hmm. He said, well, the doctors and the teachers. I said, your problem is you can't listen to what everybody tell you. Because people will label you because they don't know how to help fix you. And then if they label you and you accept that label, then you're always behind the gun of being who somebody else told you were. And so, I don't know what your thoughts are with that, because
it's no, you're on, you really are on to something. Because I believe that to get mentally uh, trying to think of what the best way of saying this. I would say to get mentally healthy or well, it first starts with self-awareness.
Okay, good. I
Um,
like that.
and I say self-awareness, meaning, you have to understand uh, what your environment is like. And your environment could be things that your habits,
Yeah.
the choices, the things that you do, because like you said, the way we behave, eating, what are we listening to? Are we around negativity? You know what I'm saying? Are we around things that uh do you know me? I always say vibes.
Okay.
Some people say discernment, some people say universe, some people, whatever it is, I see your atmosphere.
Okay.
You have to become self-aware.
Yes.
Certain things that that is going to, what I call triggers,
Yeah.
or things that are easily cause you to feel or even think a certain way.
The senses, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
because you can get around people like, why am I? And you don't even know. You don't even know, but because the way that it is, one of the things that you talked about that I always constantly deal with this with men, is when you're self aware. If you don't address the mental uh, issues or those behaviors.
Okay.
So sometimes us as men, we have those things that transferred from us when we were children. When we were children. Mom told us we weren't going to be nothing. Or whoever raised us.
Right. Right.
It could be dad, could be uncle, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't take the time as men to deal with those issues, what happens often is we see the product of untreated self-awareness transpire into adulthood. And so when we become a man, we're behaving in a way that's not healthy to ourselves, and that's affecting everybody else that's
that's around us, that we come in contact with.
We come in contact with,
right.
Not realizing that it's because of the fact that we had not, and this is something I promote mental health 100%. For those who are out there, look, I'm telling you, mental health is wealth. I can't emphasize that enough. If if you don't have that significant other where you can kind of talk to, or if you don't have like a life coach, or maybe a mentor or somebody, or whatever the case may be, please reach out to your local health department and tap into those community support resources by all means, because we have a lot that I believe that we have to look at. Like you said, we have layers upon layers. Stuff that we have done that has caused us to be mentally disoriented, and then things that have occurred within the environment, from how we was brought up, to like you said, what are we listening to? What our the music. What's in the music? Is how do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves fearfully, wonderfully made in the image and likeness of Yeshua? You know what I'm saying? Do we see ourselves as the goddess, the kings and queens that we were created to be? How do we see ourselves? Do we see ourselves in a way that's been perfectly fit, like that piece to that puzzle? Now, how do we see?
Right. So let me ask you this: do you think that if men become more self-aware, then it can help change the plight of the Black family?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And how so, when we live in a society where a lot of women, rightfully so or not, what they've been told, that really they can do it by themselves? Because we're living in a society now where what you're saying is 100% correct, but what I've observed is that when men do get to that point, they're more shunned than supported. because I think it has to be a collective of both men and women becoming self-aware,
Yeah, it
not
should
just men.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I become self-aware and the queen that's supposed to align with me, and we're supposed to build empires and villages like we did pre-colonization, then what is it saying? Unevenly yoked, right? So I think it's a target, and it's funny because I'm a big stickler for words, as y'all know. But mental, the first three letters of mental is men, right? And it
Right.
seems like it's all always on the men.
Yeah, yeah.
And I agree that it is. However, if there's not a parallel of why we're being self-aware to the queens, then we'll probably be in a worse situation than what we are now.
You're right, and I will say this too, because when I was brought up, I'm not afraid to put my business out there. But you're absolutely right, 100%. That it's not just men that need to be self-aware. It is women, um, because women sometimes have a way of tearing down a man by what they say. You get what I'm saying? And I have been a total product of that. I can kind of recite some of the things that was told to me when I was little. You're dumb. You're stupid. You're never gonna be nothing when you grow up. You retard. You know, I have been called everything that you could think of, Hunchback of Notre Dame. You know, just everything. And we don't understand, and I don't think that sometimes that women don't understand the words, whether if they're raising kids, whether if they're not raising kids and they just have their regular boyfriend or girlfriend. Uh, uh, you know, this is what they say and how they communicate.
Right.
We're going to continue to have this topic of discussion because mental health is truly
it's very
important.
It's important. It's very important. Before we talk on that, I want to leave our viewers with something to think about. We're going to look at a vehicle, a car, right? And it's synonymous and analogous to who we are, because we are a vessel, we are a vehicle, right? So a car, you have three intricate systems that if one doesn't work, then the whole car won't work. So you have your fuel system, you have your oil, you have your transmission, right? All the other key parts are functioning. You know, they can, bad part here and there, bad belt here and there. But those three things right there decide if the vehicle is going to move forward and at how efficiency. So now, in the fuel tank, it's physical food, okay? You put gas in. So for us, that's a sandwich, fruits, vegetables, water. So the physical food allows us to fuel, because energy, they say eat, energy, fuel. The oil, right, lubricates it lubricates the pistons and the rings, and so when the engine is going. So to me, the oil is like spiritual food, because it lubricates stuff, right? So what is in our spirit helps lubricate the whole system from your organs and all that. So like your brain, spiritual. Then your mental is the transmission. Okay? And if you don't put the right transmission, think of the word transmit. If you don't put the right stuff in your mind, then you're not going to transmit.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to move forward. And think, if you've ever had a car with a bad transmission, that don't jerk, right? And imagine all the mental trauma we have, how it jerks us from one place to the other, but it stops us from going forward. So we have to rearrange the foods that we're allowing in our body on those three levels. No different is I'm not going to put oil where the gas is supposed to go.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to put gas where the transmission is supposed to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very important that when we're looking at it, when you say mental health is wealth, if you do not find a way to incorporate the positive fuel and the positive transmission fluid and the positive oil into our physical vehicle that God blessed us with, right? Because God, if we needed anything else outside of us, it would have been different. God would have said, I created y'all, not in my image, but I created y'all, and I need y'all to go look outside of you to find something to make you great like me. God said you were already created in my image. In his image, he created he, them. That means we are God-like from the jump. So all the food, all the energy we need is this that we start letting that external food messes us up. So I just wanted to share that.
All right, so as we are going to, we just had this segment because we want to keep the topic of mental health at the forefront. And y'all know Uncut Live with Kenneth Clark focuses on mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so we actually have a resource here, and at the end of this broadcast, there will be a list of different community support services for mental health. But one of the resources that we have right here is Lantern Therapeutic Services. On the back, they have their information that's listed on the back. They have a website. The website is www.yourlantern.com. They have a address of 8200 Professional Place, which is in Landover, Maryland, and
They have a
y'all
Waldorf office
continue.
too.
You can for those who are here, they have a Waldorf office, which is 11680 Doolittle Drive, Suite 11.
Suite 111.
111.
Mm-hmm. And while he's showing the brochure, the Landover office will repeat again. It's 8200 Professional Place, Suite 104. Telephone number 301-306-2428. And phone number for Waldorf 240-607-2756. Again, your Lantern Therapeutic Services, www.yourlantern.com.
Y'all continue to stay plugged in with your boy Kenneth Clark from Uncut Live. Continue to follow me on social media platforms such as Facebook, Kenneth Clark, which is I can be viewed on Facebook, IG, Instagram, Change Agent Now Forever. As I always say on every end of my broadcast, each one reach one, each one love one, each one help one. We are all we got. We are all we need. You have just now been plugged in with Uncut Live. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.